Okay, so I don't think this player needs much of an introduction. Rory McIlroy. We're going to have a look at his driver swing because we know he hits up on the driver. He's a positive attack angle. And he's also one of, if not the best drivers of the ball in the game today. So in his setup, I want you to notice a couple of things here. You're going to see the ball position is further up this time. Okay, so with the irons last week, the ball was a little bit further back. Because we want to hit the ball on the up, we're going to put the ball forward in the stance. The ball is on a nice high tee, so about half of the golf ball is actually above the club face. And the second thing you're going to see in the setup is this added bit of spine tilt. So I've drawn a line to represent his spine angle there. And you'll notice it's tilted slightly away from the target. Okay, and his right shoulder is lower than his left shoulder. So these are keys that we want to get right in our setup that are going to help us hit up on the ball. Okay, we're going to take him into his backswing now. So we'll go up to the top of the swing. We're not going to touch on this too much, but you know, it's how we make our backswing is very influential of how we're going to produce our downswing and our impact position. So Rory here clearly makes a really good turn behind the ball. You can see his left shoulder there now has winded up behind the ball. He's got great rotation through his hips and great rotation through his torso there. You'll also notice his eyes have sort of wandered a little bit this way. So that's going to allow him create that nice full turn. And that full turn makes it much easier to produce this upward angle of attack through the ball. So the steepening elements we looked at a little bit last week, there's not going to be as many steepening elements in this swing, but there's still going to be them. So we'll start the downswing. That left shoulder from last week, as we know, works down slightly. Really important here, the pressure is still shifting towards the lead foot. And one of the really big keys here is he's shifting his pressure into his lead foot. But if you notice his head position isn't going forward towards the target. So his pressure is going forward into his lead foot, but his head position is staying a little bit behind the ball. And that's really important to be able to hit that upward angle of attack. I'll draw a line just at the top of his head here. So you'll notice as he's shifting that pressure towards the lead foot, you'll actually notice his head will drop. And what's happening there, and this is one of the reasons he's a very long hitter, he's actually putting pressure into the ground now. Okay, so by the time we get to about halfway into the downswing in this position, we generally see the best players with the driver, they're putting pressure into the ground, and that pressure is being maxed out right about now in the golf swing. Now we're going to really start to see those shallowing elements. So remember that journey the left shoulder took with the irons? We're going to really see that happen here with the driver. So you see that left shoulder work up and back behind him through impact. Okay, if we look at his lower body, so we know he's loaded into the ground, he's putting pressure into his lead foot. And now let's watch that lead hip. That's going to also start to work up and back. So he's actually pushing out of the ground there, and that's another sort of really strong power source. So as well as being able to hit up on the ball, he's actually generating a lot of speed there via good lower body motion too. Okay, and as all this is happening, you'll notice if I just put a circle around his head there. So his head can rotate. You'll see it rotate more down the line. But you'll notice it's not moving laterally towards the target. Okay, and that's one of the big things that makes it very difficult to hit up on the driver. Players get their head sort of towards the target a little bit more. So it's not that he's keeping his head still. He's rotating his head, but he's not letting it move forward through impact. And when we add all those shallowing elements in, we're going to see that club head now. That low point we like to talk about now is actually happening before the ball. And you're going to see this club head actually rise as it's making contact through impact. So you can see that club head's actually moving up through impact there. So low point before, club's rising up. And that's how we get those really good optimal launch conditions, the optimal spin rate. And that's one of the reasons why he's one of the longest hitters out there. So I'll put it all together. And then up to a nice strong balanced finish. Weight on the left.